In addition, there is the option of purchasing a RAV4 that is of great quality, a RAV4 hybrid that is of the finest possible quality, or a RAV4 Prime that is of the highest possible quality. All of these options are available to you. Every one of these possibilities is something that needs to be taken into consideration to some degree. You have entire power over the decision-making process, and your authority extends to each and every one of these other possibilities as well. You have complete control over the decision-making process, and your authority to make decisions applies to each and every one of these other alternatives as well. Because each and every one of these possibilities, which are easily accessible to you, provides you with the opportunity to behave in any manner that you would like to behave. You are free to act in any manner that you would like to behave whenever you choose to do so. It is a reasonable assumption that Toyota will manufacture a plug-in hybrid SUV that is not only lightweight, but also fuel efficient, and that it will be nearly flawless. This is a feasible premise. The SUV will be practically ideal, which is another assumption that might be considered acceptable. A reasonable assumption would be that this is the case. Assuming that this is the situation would be a sensible assumption to make. One of the things that is projected to take place in the future is the realization of both of these characteristics. Furthermore, the prognosis is neither overly optimistic nor overly unreasonable. Rather, it is both of these things without a shadow of a doubt. Given that this is the conclusion that can be anticipated, it is possible to get a reasonable measure of assurance from the fact that this assumption is being made. In light of the fact that this is the result that can be anticipated, it is conceivable to obtain a reasonable degree of assurance from the fact that this assumption is being made. There is a high probability that the RAV4 Prime and other RAV4 models will be subjected to a design modification in order to enhance their compatibility with the 2026 model year. This is due to the fact that there is a substantial likelihood that this improvement will be taken into consideration. By putting this plan into action, they would be brought up to speed with the current situation and given appropriate information. If they were to do this, they would be brought into conformity with the new model year, which would be done by doing so. This would be considered a successful outcome. There is not the slightest amount of uncertainty in my mind that it is a possibility that ought to be taken into consideration, and it is absolutely something that ought to be taken into consideration. Two outcomes that are associated with each of these two possibilities are distinct from one another, and there is a distinct difference between the two outcomes that are associated with each of these respective options. Both of these outcomes are distinct from one another. In contrast to one another, these two outcomes are very different. Changes that have been implemented have immediately led to the adoption of a number of adjustments that have been made in order to accommodate the newly acquired capacity. These modifications have been made in order to accommodate the newly acquired capacity. There are a number of modifications that are being implemented in order to accommodate the changes that have taken place. Many modifications have been made, some of which include the incorporation of new functionalities, the enhancement of the engine, and the redesign of the user interface. These are only some of the improvements that have been implemented. The modifications that have been implemented include these, to name just a few of them. The modifications that are now accessible to be made include these, to name just a few of the options that are available to be modified. One of the concepts that is considered to be among the most intriguing by the general public is the concept of a compact plug-in hybrid SUV that would be manufactured by Toyota. The thought that is being discussed here is one of the ideas that is regarded as being among the most intriguing ideas. Among the ideas that are considered to be among the most intriguing, the concept that is being provided here is one of the thoughts that is being presented. This is an idea that piques my attention quite much. In addition to everything else that Toyota possesses, this particular idea is going to be made by the company together with everything else that it possesses. Although it is more expensive than the standard hybrid, we believe that the RAV4 Prime will offer you a better value for the money that you spend. This is despite the fact that it is more expensive. It is despite the fact that a greater sum of money is necessary to acquire it that this is the case.